XRP holders, welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel. Thank you for all the love that you guys show on a regular day-to-day basis. But yeah, without further ado, let's see what's happening with the price of XRP as we are going into Wednesday morning. Again, if you're looking across the board, it's just past midnight here in North America, depending where you are around the world. We're seeing a little bit of a relief bounce, if you want to put it that way. I'm sure at this point you guys know what has been happening with the broader market. We saw major liquidation once again yesterday. The price of Bitcoin, most importantly, broke below October 10th lows. We dropped below the six-figure price points. A lot happened, but we're seeing a little bit of a bounce starting off Wednesday, but still you cannot ignore what Bitcoin is doing. So we still want to be watching Bitcoin very, very closely. But let's take a look at what's happening with XRP. As far as XRP's price is concerned, looking at $2.25 as of recording this update, down 0.5% on the USD side of things. On the Bitcoin side of things, we're up about 2.3%. Valuation $134.5 billion dollars, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $9.2 billion dollars. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. Let's take a look at the market liquidation numbers. $2.1 billion. That is massive amounts of liquidations that we did see for the crypto markets on the leverage side of things. And again, a continuous reminder why you want to stay away from leverage trading. But you could see for yourself, when you put it into perspective and you kind of compare it to the previous liquidations that we have seen over the last few years that shook the entire market. Now those numbers look nothing compared to what we saw just over the last 24 hours, and that's how far this market has come. That's insane to think of. Let me know in the comments what you guys personally think. But take a look at this. Bitcoin drop isn't fundamental, it's just sentimental. Bitcoin dipped below 100,000. Obviously looks very, very scary, but the data says otherwise. Fear and greed index just fell to 21. Headlines, are obviously very bearish, and social media, targets have vanished. Yet exchange withdrawals are spiking, meaning people are taking Bitcoin off of the exchanges. Long-term accumulation that pretty much highlights UTXOs in loss only 12%, far from capitulation. Hash rate still near all-time highs. Miners holding strong. Stablecoin inflows are rising again. That is very interesting to look at. But what I take away from this is obviously Bitcoin is the leader when it comes to the crypto markets. It is the leading indicator. Institutions are obviously going after Bitcoin. They love Bitcoin. They're accumulating Bitcoin for the long haul. Look at the accumulation part. Look at their cycle that we're seeing in terms of the accumulation patterns. And it is for BTC. So I think obviously Bitcoin is going to continue to see this type of demand. I think gone are the days where we would see supply just being there but demand wouldn't be there. But those are days long gone. I think now demand is outweighing supply majorly. And again, in terms of 4-year cycle, is the 4-year cycle even in play anymore? We'll see what happens as time goes by. Next few weeks, how we close the month going to be very interesting. But that's something I want to kind of touch on, in this update as well. But Donald Trump, came out and posted this. He tweeted, "And so it begins." What is he highlighting? Crypto community has gone obviously crazy on CT. People are saying, is he about to say something? Are we about to see the markets pumping back up? What's really going on here? We don't really know, so we'll obviously see what happens. But again, obviously the government shutdown, is the government shutdown coming to an end? That is something I think people are looking out for. Maybe that is going to cause the price of Bitcoin to push back up. We'll see what happens. But this tweet is something to kind of look into. But let me know in the comments down below what your speculation are on that. But on the bright side, Evernorth acquires additional 214 million in XRP, bringing total XRP purchased at committed to over 473,276,430 ahead of merger. Deal priced XRP equal to $2.36 to $2.53. Ripple affiliate alone 50 million XRP. Arrington Fund 211 million XRP. Evernorth is not slowing down, as we know. But take a look at this. Grayscale just filed amendment number 2 for its XRP trust, listed on NYSE Arca, Coinbase Custody, R Custodian, Cash Creations, Redemptions, look at it, backed 100% by XRP. Market data from CoinDesk XRP Index, 170 billion plus XRP market cap. Cited institutional XRP exposure is coming in. On top of that, speaking about amendments for the XRP, ETF filing with, Franklin Templeton also did that, one of the biggest asset managers across the, world. So is this kind of highlighting that, we're going to get closer and closer to this XRP spot ETF? I cannot wait for that. I think it's inevitable at this point, based off of what we're seeing. I think government shutdown needs to end before we see that happen. But I think we're actually coming closer to the finish line of the ETF going live, and I'm very excited to see how the numbers are going to perform, especially in these market conditions. Solana has obviously, shocked a lot of people, and I think XRP will do the same based off of Solana numbers. But we'll see what happens. That is what excites me, but we'll see. Take a look at according to DBS Bank, Ripple plans to IPO in 2026. 2026. Ripple is the only company with the public traded native asset XRP directly positioned to capture the momentum crypto IPO. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I think it's inevitable that Ripple's going to go public eventually. They're obviously probably strategically planning this, as we know, based off of their newest acquisitions and based off of their newest moves. They always think strategically, so I'm pretty sure they have that, in the books. But again, I think that would be quite massive for the crypto space. But I think they're going to launch it at the best time, according to them. So we'll see when that happens. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. But look at what Kraken CEO says. RLUSD will be the stablecoin of choice. Every company will be settling with it. Why do you think he's saying that? Because of course, RLUSD is unique in one aspect, and that is the compliance aspect, regulatory clarity behind RLUSD. And when it comes to, companies, they want that, right? They don't want, another stablecoin that, there's, uh, people wondering whether or not the reserves even exist, yada yada yada. No regulatory clarity, no compliance. This is where RLUSD checks those boxes. But let's take a closer look and see what's happening with the price of XRP. You can see for yourself here, Bitcoin dominance went up all the way to 61.32%. As you can see for yourself, we have seen a little bit of a downside for the dominance, which is giving altcoins a little bit of a push. But most importantly, Bitcoin, you can see Bitcoin was sitting at $98,798. We've seen a little bit of a bounce. We could even go up to some of these levels, in my opinion, and even then, I think I'm not buying it. I personally think, again, please go watch the market analysis update. We kind of go over what happens, what I personally think could happen. But I'll just quickly highlight what I think, could still be in play. The fact that we did go below the $100,000 price point, I still think a little bit more downside could still be in play, unless, of course, like I said, we do see Donald Trump coming in, posting something very bullish. And we see a bunch of positive news coming out. Again, in terms of news, I think there's a lot of positive news regardless, but it's just the market conditions right now, which could be due to bears, and obviously kind of building, picking up the momentum against the bulls, but to pretty much shake out the weak hands. But we'll see what happens. But I still think there is a little bit more downside for Bitcoin, even though we're seeing a little bit of a bounce, which usually does tend to happen. But I think still there is more downside, especially the fact that we were able to drop below 100,000. That just gives me a little bit more confidence that we're not out of the woods just yet. XRP's price, let's take a look at it. Obviously, it did react to this move. We came down to $2.08, a level we spoke about last night, if you guys remember. I did say this would be a support, and most importantly, around the $2 price point as well. But we came to here. Obviously, that support played out, and you can see we have bounced back up to pretty much as to where we were yesterday. So, again, not bad. Yes, it's reacting to the broader market. But again, if you want a continuous reminder from November of last year, you're still up right now about 326%. And that is insane to think of. But again, we got to take it one step at a time. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And we'll see you later in Crypto ZX and Peace.